So I'm on the maiden voyage of my new pickup. She's pretty, isn't she? It's a Chevy Colorado ZR2, which is the off-road version of the Colorado. Really excited about it. I'm excited about the places I can get with it. The Tahoe was getting very high miles, and as much as I drive, it's really important for me to have a reliable vehicle. Hopefully the ZR2 will be that. So you guys already know that I love backlit moss, but the only thing that can make, you know, a backlit forest scene with a bunch of moss better is mist. Oh, I love this. So in a scene like this, I'm always trying to find a subject that is going to be kind of the, I don't know, the main character in a shot. So I have this one particular tree trunk that is catching the light rays are pointing directly at that tree trunk, which helps the shot a lot because you don't want those rays to just be pointing into a random place in your scene. Plus we have these really nice ferns at the base of the tree that are also catching light. This is just beautiful. I also like that the rays are pointing up into the top right corner of the shot. I always find that when you have really strong diagonal lines in a shot, it's nice if they can be leading into one of the corners. So for this shot, I don't really care about having tons of depth of field. So I'm just going with a nice sharp aperture, which is f11. I'm focusing on this tree trunk. I'm also gonna do a 3-shot exposure bracket. I doubt that I'm gonna need that, honestly, but you know, I'm here. I might as well take them. If I need them, I have them. It's amazing what these light rays can do to a shot. And the reason we have these light rays is because it's a high surf day. We're not very far from the Oregon coast. In fact, we're probably not even a mile from the actual shoreline. And because of all of the, you know, big waves, there's lots of mist getting thrown up into the air, and those mist particulates make their way up these valleys, and now it gets backlit because we actually don't have a single cloud in the sky, but what we do have is a bunch of mist being kicked up from the sea spray. So I'm just kind of following these valleys up just alongside the road, looking for beautiful trees that happen to be catching a little bit of light and also catching a little bit of this misty atmosphere. God, I love this. So there's a couple challenging parts of shooting these kind of scenes. First of all, it changes really fast. So all of our mist is blown away, so we don't really have that sense of atmosphere anymore. And the light is moving. As the light moves, compositions you found a second ago no longer work, which means we gotta move. So I'm gonna go down a little further down the road to another trail that I know of. Let's go check it out. So earlier I drove down to the area that I was really hoping would have this same atmospheric mist. It had none. It had zero atmosphere, which made the light really harsh and not that great. So we drove back into the same area as where we shot earlier today. And right as I got out of the car, we had some beautiful, beautiful light rays streaming through the trees. Although I'm not sure that I got the greatest composition in the world. It's just kind of a random uniform stand of trees. And uniform trees can be okay if they're uniform enough. I don't know that this was uniform enough, but when I do have these kind of just a stand of trees, just a standard forest looking scene, I try to shoot with a compositional theme in mind. You've probably heard me say that before in other videos. What I mean by that is I try to have like a set of rules in mind to kind of try to make order of the chaos. So in this case, I was using a frame within a frame. So I was using a couple of the tree trunks as a frame on either side of the photo to try to, you know, restrict the eye and to force the eye to go deeper into the shot. I don't know if it worked. I'm much more excited about those shots we got earlier, but that's how it goes. Now the atmosphere's 100% gone. Doesn't always last a long time, but it was pretty well lasted. The unfortunate thing is we don't have a cloud in the sky. We haven't all day. And, you know, the whole reason I come to the Oregon coast is hoping for that, you know, beautiful seascape with a big dramatic sky. And man, I haven't got one of those in a while. So we've come down to one of my favorite beaches in hopes that we're gonna have at least some cloud cover roll in. I think that the marine layer that's out over the ocean typically, I think lately it has been kind of breaking apart and coming in over shore in the mornings and the evenings. So I'm hopeful that even though we had totally blue skies all day today, I'm hopeful that we'll have a few straggler clouds roll in right at the end of the day, hopefully. So if you look at the beach behind me, there's tons of sea foam just all over the beach. It's because not only did we have a big surf day, but we also have what's called a king tide, which basically means that it's a huge swing from high tide to low tide. So high tide was at like 9 feet, plus 9 feet, and low tide is almost at -2 feet, which is this massive swing. All of this was underwater this morning, even though currently the water is all the way out on the other side of those rocks right now. The tide is going out. Low tide is about an hour and a half after sunset, so it's going to continue to go out. Makes it a little bit less sketchy to be down here on a big surf day. There's just nasty foam all over the beach. Nasty stuff. So those of you guys that watch my channel probably recognize this behind me. It was a couple videos back where I brought Sean Bagshaw and Gavin Hardcastle and those guys to this very spot. We had a very flat light, even though the waves were nice. Today we've got nice big waves, a low tide, and some direct light. That's exactly what I'm hoping for. So yeah, I'm hopeful. We'll knock on wood. The sky is looking very promising right now. We've definitely had a lot of low clouds move in, but there's some high scattered clouds up above as well. If you guys don't already know this, high clouds catch color, catch light, and low clouds tend to block it. And so a lot of times when you're on the coast, you need high clouds in order to get any color at all, because we have something called the marine layer. So the marine layer is essentially just a big cloud bank, a big fog bank that hangs out over the ocean, and it snuffs out that last little bit of light most often. The only way you ever get color on the coast is if the marine layer is way out to sea, or you have nice high clouds to catch those last rays of light. So needless to say, I'm incredibly excited. I've been after this shot for quite a long while. So many different elements have to come in, line up for this shot to happen. First of all, super dangerous place to shoot. Anytime that you're going out and you're climbing up on top of rock formations out in the ocean, you gotta make sure the tide's going out for one, but you have to watch out for rogue waves because they are a real thing. If I was to get swept off this rock on that direction, I'm dead. There's no way I could get back. So I always have to keep one eye on the ocean, make sure that I don't get knocked off this big rock. But in addition to that, it's really hard to get these kind of seas at a low enough tide and to get good light. It's super, super rare. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm going with a vertical composition here because, first of all, I love the way that we have the conical shapes in the background, but we've also got kind of triangle of sea foam coming in and kind of completing this triangle shape. But also by shooting vertical, I'm able to get more of that sky that I'm really optimistic about. So I've been doing a combination of fast shutter speeds and slow shutter speeds with the intention of blending them together later on. Right now I just have a circular polarizer on, which slows down my shutter speed enough to get down to 0.4 seconds. A lot of times I go with a faster shutter speed than that, but I find that the further the water is away from the camera, the slower you need to go with your shutter speed to still have that sense of movement in the shot. Because the water is further away, it's going a shorter distance across your frame. If we were to get close to that water, a faster shutter speed would have the same sense of movement. Because the water is close, it's moving further across the frame. So I'm going to 0.4 seconds for my slow shutter speed, f16 and ISO 50, and that's giving me the shutter speed that I think is looking pretty good. But to play it safe, I'm going to do a couple a little bit faster, and I'm waiting for the water to cascade over these rocks in the foreground. As this sky just gets better and better, I've switched over to a wider composition. That way I can include as much of this beautiful sky as I can. This doesn't happen all the time on the Oregon coast, so it makes it more special when it finally does. Beautiful. It's been an incredible evening. I've continued to just keep shooting, and I've been adjusting my composition based on where the light is looking good. For a while we had some really awesome color in this textured cloud over here, so I was kind of trying to do a composition utilizing some of that with this kind of swooping rock in the foreground. But now we're kind of in that twilight light that happens after a sunset, and it still looks really good because we get this nice gradient. It goes from the warm orangey color up into the blue clouds, but then there's some lower clouds that are catching some of those warm tones. It still looks good. It's just good day. And I needed one of these too because it's been a long time since I've got good light, it seems like. And I'm such a light snob or condition snob that it's hard for me to get excited about a photo unless it's got some decent light and decent conditions in it. So I needed this. Really excited about the photography we got today. It's nice. So I think on that note, let's just end it here. End it on a high note. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you like my content. We'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.